Casey, thank you so much for coming. I have to tell you, though, I thought it was kind of funny when you said we were going to talk about succulents. I really thought you meant cactus. That's all I could think of.
We're working with a little bit more gentler cactus. They're really soft and not pokey, so they won't hurt you when you're trying to make an arrangement.
And you said they're really becoming popular lately.
Unbelievable. I think that brides have just embraced the idea of a more eco-friendly green wedding, and so they've been not wanting the flowers just to die right after the ceremony, so they've been incorporating succulents into their bouquets, and then they can take them out later and then plant them.
Oh, I see.
It's amazing. Or they can incorporate them into the centerpieces like we're going to do today and then give them away as to guests, and then the guests can plant them in their garden.
That's a great idea.
It's really wonderful.
And this is an example of using flowers with the succulents.
And the flowers we chose for this particular arrangement work perfectly with succulents because they can take the heat, so it's a great arrangement to have outside. And we're using celosia, which looks like velvet.
Is that what this is?
Yes.
It does look like.
And there's two different kinds of celosia. There's one called the plume, which actually looks like flames, and it comes in orange, yellow, and red, so it looks like fire. And then there's this type, which is called coxcomb. To me, it looks like brain coral.
Well, it does.
And actually with the succulents too, look to me like something you might find underwater. So it's very an underwater scene. So I think it's very, very sweet. And then we're using mini spray carnations, which are very hardy and will last also. So this arrangement with water will probably do well for about 2 weeks.
That's unheard of almost, isn't it?
It is. And so there's a bonus to having succulents, because then you have to think about, well, what would go well with them? So the first steps we need to do is prepare our container, and we have this lovely container which is actually made out of paper, and it's paper mache, and it's pressed. Yep, it's all magazines. There's 2 companies that are known for their pressed paper products, and they've been doing it for almost 100 years. Amazing.
Way before recycling was popular.
Yep, they're old magazines and old newspapers, and Western Pulp is one of them, and been around a long time. And these, they've made a little bit nicer though, because they've added these little ridges, so it looks like a little column. And these, from a distance, you can't tell at all.
Looks like stone.
Looks like stone, right? And it's perfect for this kind of a rustic arrangement we're going to do. We are using floral foam inside, which will hold our stems nice and firmly. And you always want to soak the whole brick of floral foam when you buy it, because it's better to cut it wet than it is dry. Some of the powder on it flies away.
It's not nearly as messy either,
Not nearly as messy. And it cuts so easily that you can use a knife like this. And what we're going to do, since we have a square here, but we want to go in from all sides, we're going to just trim off our little corners right like this. And those pieces, we're just going to stuff them in on the side. It's going to add a little bit more support, and then it isn't wasteful. And we're just going to cut some of those hard edges off like that.
So you're shaping it more to the shape of
right, because it's easier to poke something in on the flat side than it would be on a nice pointy side. Right.
I see.
Okay. Another prep we need to do is prepare our succulents. Some of them, when we pull them out of soil, they don't have much of a stem left, and so sometimes we need to add a stem to it. So the first thing you need to do is get a container, and you're going to pull your succulent out, and you basically just squeeze your little pot, drop it out, and then just squeeze around all that soil. And some of it's going to be hanging onto those roots pretty well. You just keep working it off until you got almost everything off there, and then we'll be able to trim a little bit off too.
So if you accidentally also broke the stem off, you could
It'd
still
be fine.
use this. You could just,
because we're going to add our own stem anyway. And just pulling off some of those roots, leaving you, and sometimes a little lower fronds, we can just pop those off too. And believe it or not, you throw that in the garden, it'll bloom. So,
oh, really?
Yes, so we're not really losing anything. We're gaining 5 little plants right there.
We're planting right now.
And so now we have this great little stem, which actually is pretty good, but we're still going to add a little bit to it. So I'm going to trim off, give ourselves a nice clean cut. And then I've already pre-cut some wire. And this is about 16 or 18 gauge wire. And the lower the number, the more heavy duty it is.
The lower the number, the heavier.
So the higher number it is, it's like a 23 or 24. Those you would actually use for corsages and boutonnieres, but we'll use the heavy duty one. And then from here, you're just going to stick it right in the base of the stem. And so it gives you a little bit more of a lift.
It gives you something to hold on and work
and
with.
to place in there. So. All right, so what we have also to add in here, as I mentioned, we have our celosia. And again, we're not going to place it in like that. It's full of greenery.
Too much greenery.
You always want to remove that when you're going into floral foam, because it won't give it a nice tight hold, and it also will start to break down and rot a little bit. So we're just going to slide some of those greeneries off.
Sort of strip it off,
but we're also going to trim most of it. We don't really have to worry about cleaning, because we're going to go low for this arrangement. your carnations, spray carnations, they come usually with lots of flowers going every which way or the other. And so we're going to trim those away individually too, because again, we just don't need that much length.
They're more like fillers too, aren't they?
Yes, they're just like filling the blank. So we're going to cut that off and that one too, and we're going to place those in and all around once we get going.
Okay.
But our main feature today are our succulents. So that's what we want to really feature.
They're the focal point.
They're the focal point, and that's where we always refer to something as the money flower. Maybe it's your roses, maybe it's a peony or hydrangea, and those are the ones you always want to make sure you feature. So we have these two very large ones and these two medium ones. So we're going to place these on the four corners. Oh. And then in the middle, we're going to place some of these littler ones.
Oh, the little ones.
Right? So once you grab that one, right in that corner, and I'm going to be on the other side, and we're facing out. Very nice. Isn't that easy?
It was.
And there you go. And face
now,
out.
Is this the same kind? I mean, these
they're
have
all
rounded leaves.
They're all different kinds of Echeveria. They're all variations of Echeveria. So they already have our nice start. Our four corners are in there. And then we're going to take our other little guys here. And sometimes when you're designing, they say you should do odd numbers. So by clustering these little set in the middle, that's going to give us our 5. And that's going to look nice and strong. So
even though we're just using 4?
Yes.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
We actually might just use these 3 because I think it'll get too crowded. There we go.
Yeah.
So there we have our set perfectly.
Looks great from all sides.
And now again we're going to be filling in, and we have 5 different celosia. And so one is a little bit on the smaller side. And when you're buying wholesale flowers,
this is interesting.
Isn't that beautiful? It's more of a fan.
That is so pretty.
And that's going to go in. In this one, you can just find a space that might work best for it, because you might decide to go up and down or side to side. Beautiful. And that fills in a nice big space. Very nicely done.
It does.
And I'm going to
just
go
looks
ahead
like
and trim.
ruffled fabric to me.
Oh, it does, yes. And that one really looks like brain coral to me. So then with this one, we're just going to pop it right in on the side here. Get that in there. Don't want to hide too much of the other one.
And these are low enough to be so beautiful at a table when you have people trying to talk back and forth. Sometimes arrangements are so high that they're distracting. You almost don't even care if they're pretty or not because you can't see who you're talking to.
And that's the last thing you ever want to happen, is someone move your arrangement out of the way because they can't see the person behind them. So that is true. So this, actually, I'm going to put this little guy is just going to sit up here, and this one we're going to put in the side here. So from here, we have almost all the big spaces
just put the spots of yellow color.
Full. So now all we do is come in with our little sprays, and we'll do a little bit of trimming if we need to go a little bit shorter with these, because we really only need about that much length. And with the lighter the stems, you're just going to pop them in wherever you want. The lighter the stems, the really, the shorter that they need to be. They don't have to be, there doesn't have to be a lot of stem in the floral foam to hold strongly.
No, they're very sturdy. And these haven't even really opened.
No, and you can fluff these open too if we want a little bit and give some variety. But the one thing that we're also trying to look for when you're doing some designing is you want to have different textures. So we could have used roses in here, which would have been pretty, but they would have almost mimicked the same rosette look. So it's nice to have a different variety of textures to incorporate into your arrangement. And these, again, we just fill in the blanks, going all around, looking from the side, because you want all of your guests to enjoy the view for where they're sitting. And you're right, when you are serving and entertaining, you do want your arrangement to not be moved from the center of the table.
How rude.
You want it
especially if the designer's sitting there.
Yes, sit nice and quietly and be admired by all. And then this is a great gift to give away to somebody.
And so these succulents then could be taken out, just dropped, well, like you were doing the little, what are these called, fronds? They'll actually grow themselves.
They'll grow
just
themselves,
like that.
yes, they will. And these themselves, if you were just to pop these right back into soil, they'll just start rooting and growing again.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that. Well, that's a beautiful arrangement. I love the color combination. So this will be fun to try ourselves. Thank you very much, Casey.
You're welcome.